Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics video on the channel. Round 10 is in the books and another tough week for me yet again. So we scored 2106. That was a round rank of 21,348 and down 554 spots to 13,573. So we're already going bad enough, and we had to move down in rank, which is always fun. Tough year, but hopefully we can get back on track. The buys is obviously I'm hoping the buys will be my saving grace because we need to catch up a fair bit. Not a great week and slipped a little bit, but plus and minus 3 for the week I'm going to give a dual plus 3 because I can't split them essentially. So Tristan Sherry and Rowan Marshall get my plus 3. Because on one hand, Tristan Sherry was my VC, and I took the 155, and then Rowan Marshall was my trade-in. So 158 from him, 155 from Sherry. I can't split them. I was hoping I was going, Sherry was my captain, but then I traded in Marshall. So I can't split them. So I'll go both. If I had to give one, I will just give it to Cherry because he was my VC. But I'll give it to both because both went over 150 and were very, very good. My week would have been awful if it wasn't for them. So shout out to those guys for getting it done. Minus 3. He wasn't my lowest score. I'm going to give it to Nick Dacos. 88, and then obviously followed, 88 this week, and then that was from a 67 last week. So now 3 scores in a row below a ton. He was 1.099, so 1.1 essentially, and he's now dropped, 75k in the 2 weeks I've had him, which is fantastic. I shouldn't have paid up for him. It was stupid on my part. I had a bad team value as it is, and I made it worse by paying up for Nick Dacos. I shouldn't have done it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Can't do anything about it now. I've got Nick Dacos, so I don't need to worry about getting him back. Hopefully, North Melbourne this week means that he can actually have a good score. But yeah, obviously it sucked the last 2 weeks. 88, he wasn't awful, but yeah, 88 when you pay that much money. Usually when they go bad and then they can match it with a 140 the week after, it goes, okay, well, that's fine. You cancel out the bad score. But the fact that he's now gone back-to-back sub-tons is pretty bad. And I had some low scores this week, which really kept me from having a good week. But let's go through the scores throughout the team. So Harry Sheezer, 102 against Richmond. At the end of the day, it's a ton. He's gone back-to-back low tons. He was back doing that mid-forward role, which wasn't great. That's obviously, we want to be seeing the half-back role. I'm not quite sure what made North Melbourne change from him being in defence to now mid-forward. I don't know if it was the Richmond matchup. They maybe thought they won, which they obviously did. But they played well the previous few weeks, and that was with Sheezel playing in defence. So I was really interested to see that he obviously did have the role. We obviously heard Drew Jones say during the week that he was training with the mids. He only had 8 CBAs, so he played a bit more forward rolling up to the stoppage. Didn't really play as much deep forward, which I guess is good. At least he's around the ball. 10 tackles was what got him there, only 20 disposals. So not a huge score, but it was a pretty contested game. There wasn't really much outside ball, so that had a bit of a reason why his score was a little bit lower. But 102, I'll take it, considering the rest of my rabble. Not really rabble, but yeah, a few other poor players are there. The side Wang and E. Miller are 76. That was disappointing. Came off a couple of times with cramp late in the third quarter, and then a couple of times in the third quarter, actually, I believe it was. Or it might have been the last quarter as well. But still, 76. I don't like this mid-roll. I said it a few weeks ago. I know he scored a 131 when he had the mid-roll, but I don't like it. I don't like when he's in the midfield. He wasn't in the midfield as much. He spent all the third quarter, a second and third quarter in the midfield, and then the first quarter is in defence. Last quarter, he spent pretty much most of defence. I just don't like it. He doesn't really get into those spaces that those best mids do. He'll either get the handball or receive, but he won't get many of those little +6s out of the stoppage, which you see you guys like your Dawsons and your Brayshaws and your Baz and even Dacos when he's up and going. So I know that it's normally when they're struggling, and that's going to be a lot of time. So I think this role's going to be split. But I think Sinclair does a better job in the midfield, and he scores in the midfield, Sinclair, as well. Whereas I don't think Nasai does as much. It can be very up and down. But this was his worst score of the season, 76. It's not bad. We move to next week. I'm still glad I've got him. I do expect him to respond. They've got Gold Coast under the roof. I think that's a pretty good matchup for him. So hopefully a good bounce-back game. And even she's got Collingwood, so should be fine. Matt Roberts, unders as well, 73. I'll pair Bice with that as well, 59. The Carlton obviously were the toughest matchup for defenders going into that game. And obviously that stayed true. They obviously didn't score great. Roberts is fine. And Bice, some people are going to trade. And I think if you're in a good spot, trade. I think a lot of us are probably going to have to hold with Horn France, which I'll get to shortly. But I guess the saving thing with Bice is the fact they've got Melbourne, Adelaide, Richmond, then their bye. That's a really, really good 3-week stretch for kicking. What's the one I'm trying to look for? Designated kickers. Sorry. I was trying to think. I was like, distributing kickers. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah. Designated kickers. Good 3-week stretch. So I'll hold Bice. Like a few might have to hold. I'll hold as well. But obviously, if you can trade, great. He's just obviously slowed down, right? It's, I think, 3 scores now in a row that have been below 80, or not even be 4 scores now below 80. So yeah, just not quite getting it done. They did win, so I'm not sort of concerned or anything like that. But yeah, they are 3 scores below 80. You got an 82 against Gold Coast there, so it's just been the last 3 weeks have been a bit disappointing. So hopefully he can get back on track this week. Holmes 83. A little bit disappointing. It was a tough matchup. I know that they won by a lot, but Port at Adelaide Oval are a tough matchup. I was sort of hoping, though, that because they won by so much, he'd actually go really big, but 83, it's fine. I got him for pretty much from this week onwards. The run from now to the bye is pretty good, particularly not this week. The next 3 weeks are good. This is a decent enough matchup against the Dogs on Thursday night, but it's more after that. So I'm happy I got Holmes. His round 16 bye works for my buys, because if I'm going to catch up some ranks, it's going to be through the buys. Like I'm trying to get my buy structure set, ready to go, so I've got the best chance of making up as much ground as possible over those 5 weeks to then hopefully attack that last bit and see if we get top 1,000, or just see what I don't really have a cap where I want to go. Like I'm sort of like, let's just get the best rank possible and just try and be smart from here. So yeah, Holmes, round 16 buy. I'm glad I got him. I know that I'd lost a bit not going Sinclair, but still. Luke Trainer 50 got subbed out. That was, again, he's probably going to get a 60 or a 70, but subbed out early in the last quarter. I'm hoping it's just a management thing. I guess the positive for Trainer is this week, Bolter won't be playing because it's a night game. So I don't see him being sub or anything like that. Maybe it's just management because they're going to be going to a 6-day break. So hang on. 5-day break. 5-day break into Friday night. So maybe it's just a management thing. At least he wasn't the starting sub. He was subbed out on a 50. It sucks, but hopefully he'll be fine. Essendon's a decent matchup. I'll be able to... no, I won't be able to loop actually. No, I can. I've got Hasty, but at the moment, Trainer will be fine playing there. Essendon's a good matchup. I'll probably trade the week after, but for one more week, I'll probably hold him. Carroll 40 as well. Just good to see him back in the team and making some money. Made, 13, 14K. He's not going to make a heap, but he's in the team. They've got a lot of injuries. I think they've got another couple to deal with, so I think he'll still be there. But I guess we can't lose him again. Who knows? But at the moment, he's there. Obviously, Bustling. It'd be good to see him come through during the buys, but I doubt that he will. Moving to the midfield, which is pretty good. It was the defence and forward line let us down this week, but the midfield generally did all right. Brayshaw 103. I'm really happy with that. He was on a pretty poor. I think he was on 30 points at half time. Bedford tag. Halfway through the third quarter, it switched, and then he went nuts. He scored 73 points in the second half. And 103, really happy with that considering that he was getting the Bedford tag. So that was good. Bailey Smith, and he's got Port as well at Optus, which, if I remember correctly, he actually went really big against them last year, because that was what sort of helped decide the car from memory. I just want to have a quick look at that. What did he score against Port in that final game? I'm pretty sure it was quite big. 124. So if he can do something like that, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, Brayshaw will be fine, and I'm happy with the ton. Bailey Smith 123, just a gun, absolute gun, just keeps getting it done week in, week out. He's only had 1 score below 100, and he's only had 2 scores below 110, which is crazy. And that was back-to-back weeks against the Crows and then Hawthorn. So those 2 games. Besides that, he's gone over 110 every game. His running capacity is fantastic. I'm really intrigued to see how he goes this week against the Dogs. Like, it's going to be no secret that the Dogs are going to be paying a bit more extra attention to Baz. So, be interesting. But he's just absolutely killing it. Highest averaging player by about 6 points at the moment. Jordan Dawson, gun. obviously love him. 138. Really good to respond after a poor game the week before. And Jordan Dawson's done that every week this year, right? So scored 85 against North, 118 against Gold Coast the week after, 92 against Geelong, 123 the week after against the Giants, 78 against Port, 138 against Collingwood. And even when he went 100 against Freo, 122 the week after that. So his ceiling's great. He's only had the one score below 85 this year, being that game against Port. West Coast this week, I think he'll have a pretty good game there, and I think Dawson will be good. So he's obviously the highest averaging midfielder at the moment, which is good to see. Dacos obviously spoke about him. Connor Rosey, 109. Good, considering they got beaten pretty heavily. 109. He's obviously, I think he's the second highest averaging defender, if I'm not mistaken, at the moment. So he'll get defender status not this week, the week after, leading into the bye. So it's going to be really handy to chuck him back into defence and start getting some of these midfielders in. So like going a trainer or a bias to a mid will be good. And there's a few mids that are dropping in price, so I'm keeping my eye on bringing in as well. So Rosie, 109, really, really happy with that. I'm just checking his kick-ins because I didn't actually check that during the pod when we recorded. So Burton had 7. Rosie still had 3. So still, he had a few, but clearly Burton's just doing what Farrell was doing. So that's fine. So he was good. Levi just keeps getting it done. Another 82 points. That's now, is that 4 games over 70? 3 games over 70 now. Oh, no, 3 games over 80, sorry. 115, 84, 82. Really just keeping that cash gen nicely ticking over. He's 773, nearly 800k. He's going to be really handy to trade at his round 16 buy. He's going to be at a good price to get someone decent in, which is good. So he's going along nicely. Ned Long, 77 was good. Just tick over another solid score again, make a little bit of money. His break-even is now 76. So this week against North, I'm hoping that he can get like a 90 or 100 to keep that cash gen going, but he might be done. But I'm going to hold into his buy anyway. He's got a pretty nice few games before the bye. So he goes North, then Hawthorn, then Melbourne. So that should be Hawthorn a bit trickier, but besides that should be fine. So I'm looking forward to Ned Long hopefully making a little bit more cash and trading his buy. Then you've got, so this was the sort of little mistake that I made this week, but I guess hindsight's a wonderful thing. I thought I was making the right call. So I went Finn O'Sullivan emergency, but then obviously hearing the whispers that Boyd had flown over and who knows who's going to play, I was like, well, I can't risk the 155 from Tristan Cherry as my VC. I've got to take Finn O'Sullivan's score over Lindsay. And really it was their... so Lindsay as well, 78 was really good. A little bit of cash in from him. But it was their third quarters for O'Sullivan and Lindsay that really sort of hurt me this week. Finn O'Sullivan's third quarter, -3. Lindsay's third quarter, 41 points. So outside of that, Lindsay wasn't as big. And Finn O'Sullivan... 49 points in 3 quarters has been better than what he's been doing. And he was on 39 at half time, so 7 points in the second half was a tough pill to swallow after looking pretty good. But so it cost me 32 points at the end, but I couldn't give up the 155. I didn't want to risk it with Harry Boyd. And fun enough, I would have had Marshall captain, and it would have actually worked out pretty well for me. So, but still, I didn't want to risk the 150. So I think my logic was there. But maybe I should have just put Lindsay emergency straight up and not worried about Finn. But I thought, well, if there's a lay down in the last 2 games, I'll have no cover. So I thought, yeah, I'll just do it. But it is what it is. But yeah, Trish Cherry, 155, I've mentioned before, was fantastic. And Marshall, 158 there. Well, everyone knows Cherry's back. That's now 5 weeks in a row over 116. And this was the first real big score over 130 this year. 5 in a row over 116 is fantastic. He's well and truly back. And Marshall, that's his first score over 150 for the year and his first score over 120 since round 3. So really good to see. Comes up against Gold Coast this week and then Melbourne. So 2 tough matchups. But I think against Hawthorn, Damien Hardwick, someone said in my watch song pre-game that Hardwick said they were going to rest Witts, but they had a couple of injuries, so he played, which I don't know how Rogers and Graham being injured makes a difference to Witts. But maybe does he get a rest this week against the Saints? So then maybe Marshall goes up against Moyle. That's what I'm hoping. I still think Marshall will go okay against Witts. I think he can beat him around the ground. Marshall, and the way he looked on Sunday was, yesterday when you're watching this, was really promising. He looked back to his best. He looked back to the Marshall that we know and love. And averaging 115 plus. So he was really good and good to get a trade in and go really, really big on debut. Obviously, Boyd didn't play. Petrarca, 84. Had a lot of the ball, just didn't really do a huge amount outside of that. But 84 is a forward. I'm not expecting him to average 105. If he can average around 95, 100, he's a top 6 forward, so that's fine. Rankin, 89. That was okay. Flavour of the forward was 80s this week, so 89 from Rankin. He was the third highest scoring player in that game, a pretty low-scoring fantasy game outside of Jordan Dawson, so I'm not too angry. Sorry, fourth high-scoring player. I'm not too annoyed with the 89 there. McRae, 84. He got there in the end, but yeah, it wasn't looking great for the first quarter, and sort of after quarter time, he got a little bit more of the ball. Horne-France, obviously, injured on 11. It pretty much affected most people. If you didn't have him, obviously that was you got that boost this week. You probably got a different score and probably rose up the ranks a bit more. And if you had Horne-Francis, if you had the other guys go where you probably held rank or maybe went up a little bit. But yeah, he's a trade for me. I know it's a smaller hamstring issue, but I just think that when he's got the bye next week and he's going to miss at least 2 weeks, if not potentially 3 weeks. We don't know. I think he's a definite trade. 149 break even as well. He's going to come back. He's going to be about 800 or maybe sub 800k when he comes back. So he's going to be a guy that we're going to be bringing in anyway. So like I could essentially straight swap Marek to Horne-Francis in round 15 or round 14 whenever Marek's got his bye, and that's fine. So that's what I'll look at doing. So Horne-Francis for me is a trade. Caleb Daniels, 77. That's now 4 in a row below 80. And obviously the first 3 were with Sheezer back there. To be fair, this game wasn't very uncontested. There weren't a lot of the chipping around or anything like that. So maybe against Collingwood North, maybe try and pay a little bit of keepings off. Maybe Sheezer goes back in defence, meaning Daniel doesn't score as well. But I've got to hold Daniel this week anyway. But he'll be a trade at his bye. And then you got Ryan Marek, 84. Solid. I was hoping maybe a tiny little bit more against St Kilda at home, but makes another 30-odd K. He's now near 800k, which is great. I'll be able to trade him to a premium on his buy, and he's got the buy, I think it's round 15. Yeah, round 15, which is perfect. So bring in anyone from those first 3 buys, and it can be a mid because I got Levi and Bailey Smith there, but it could also be a forward, so it'll be good for flexibility through the buys. Caden Crew, 36 is disappointing. Was hoping for bigger score on that to keep the cash gen going. He actually lost cash this week, and his break-even's now up to 64. I'll probably hold because my trades I can still do without using his cash, and I'll maybe try and cash him in later on in the buys. But yeah, disappointing that he couldn't make more cash. Connorstone, obviously, red dot, and it's same with a Hugh Boxall. Would be nice if a couple of these guys maybe came through during the buys. But that is how we went. I feel like the team is slowly getting there, but we're still behind. I'm still probably like 600-700k away from a lot of people with their cash gen. So yeah, just maybe trying to replenish the bench and get some cash gen going is going to be the only way I'm going to catch up. I'm probably not going to catch up to some of the best teams anyway. I'm probably just have to settle for not getting a 23rd premium this year and just have to try and work around it. So, but that's how we went in round 10. In terms of early trade thoughts, I actually think my trades are done. Unless something pops up. I think I saw something circulating before that McRae is going to have a scan on a potential back injury. He finished out the game or whatever, so I think he'll be fine, but obviously we'll find out, right? But at this stage, my trades, I can't see them changing unless something pops up. So my trades at the moment is Connorstone down to Cooper Simpson to get that cash gen going on the bench. And then I'll be going Horne-Francis up to Nick Martin, and I've got 3k spare. So yeah, really happy we're getting Nick Martin in against Richmond this week at this stage, and Cooper Simpson to make some cash on the bench. They're my ideal trades. If something happens to McRae or something happens to someone else, obviously that's going to be thrown around, and we're not going to be able to do that. But at the moment, they're my trades, and unless something happens, they will be my trades, I think, this week. I don't see them changing. Unless I decide to go someone else other than Martin, but I think he's pretty good, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys, how you guys went in round 10. Let me know your score, your round rank, your overall rank, and your plus and minus threes for the week. Be interested to see how you guys went there. And if you've got any questions and you want a guaranteed answer to it, because I can't always promise an answer on YouTube, just because I appreciate everyone that comments on here. Very much appreciate you guys tuning in and commenting here, and then on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Patreon or whatever. But if you do want a guaranteed answer for your question or your team reviewed each week, then head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, and become a Patreon member today. Every member gets a team review through the Ask Me on Q service, which Patreon members do get for free, that service. So if you would like to become a Patreon member and get access to that, our exclusive Q&As every week, and there'll be bonus content throughout the back half of the season as well. Then click link in description or patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics is where you can sign up. But if you enjoyed the video, smash like on the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We're 160 away from 4,000 subscribers, which is our massive goal. So if you can help us reach that and haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We've got daily content on the channel as well. So subscribe so you don't miss any of the content for the rest of the season. I and obviously a few of us will be back tomorrow night for our Q&A as always. So if you want your questions answered there, then you can head over and join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. per time. We'll be answering a heap of your questions as we sort of start building up to round 11, which is our final round before the buys. So as always, thanks everyone for tuning in. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night for our Q&A. So thanks everyone. Have a good night. See ya.